is the Intercontinental Broadcasting Corporation. Sa bagong Pilipinas.
Good evening. This is 13 News.
Let's get into the headlines right now. On the 9th day of impeachment trial, NBI Director Melvin Matibag says VP Sara committed betrayal of public trust when she admitted to threaten the president.
The United States reaffirms its defense commitment with the Philippines following U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's meeting with President Marcos Jr.
The low-pressure area inside PAR still has a high chance of becoming Tropical Depression Quiapo.
And the DILG launches the nationwide emergency hotline, Unified 911, now ready to take emergency calls. All these and more, here on 13 News.
On the 9th day of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial, the defense continued its cross-examination of NBI Director Melvin Matibag, who stood by his testimony on the alleged assassination plot.
Meanwhile, the prosecution defended its role after remarks that it was being one-sided. The full report from IBC News correspondent Patrick Cupo.
On the 9th day of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial, defense lawyers continued cross-examining NBI Director Melvin Matibag. He revealed that the NBI has narrowed its list to fewer than 20 persons of interest believed to be linked to the alleged hired assassin of VP Sara. Investigators have already spoken with some of their relatives, aiming to identify the alleged hitman within 3 to 6 months.
The betrayal of public trust was already been consummated. When she publicly admitted, there is already an admission that she contracted a killer, a mamamatay tao or assassin, to kill the president. And that itself is already an admission.
During cross-examination, the defense cited news articles to argue there was no destabilization plot against the Marcos administration. But prosecutors said the articles were misleading as the case centers on alleged threats and not destabilization. Meanwhile, Senator Judge Rafi Tulfo raised concerns over what he described as inconsistent enforcement of the 2-minute time limit for senator judges.
Nakakairita eh. So dapat maging fair tayo yung sa nagpipindot ng bell. Pag sinabing 2 minutes regardless kahit na sinong senador yan.
Later in the session, Senator Judge Robin Padilla was interrupted after noticing people talking while he was asking questions.
Alam nyo ba, bawal po ang ginagawa.
Kindly maintain order within the court.
Bawal po ang ginagawa nitong nasa harap natin, nagkukomento.
Meanwhile, the House prosecution panel pushed back against Padilla's remarks that the prosecution appears to be one-sided. They maintain that if there is anyone who must remain free from bias, it should be the senator judges who will decide the fate of the vice president.
Kaya merong prosecution is to establish the case. Kaya may defense is to defend the innocence of the respondent, no? So, it is very much anticipated that the prosecution is biased towards presenting the case.
The one being judged here is not only the vice president. The judges also are being judged by the public.
Next week, there will be no trials on Monday, July 27 and Tuesday, July 28 due to SONA. The trial proceedings will resume on July 29, adjusted to a morning schedule from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It will move to the alleged anomalous use of confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President and the Department of Education. Patrick Gupo, IBC News.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. met with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio at Malacanang, reaffirming the United States' commitment to the Philippines amid tensions in the West Philippine Sea. Meanwhile, the armed forces of the Philippines and Philippine Coast Guard reject China's claims over the Ayungin Shoal incident, insisting the Philippines needs no foreign permission to operate within its own waters. IBC News correspondent Victor Liantino has the report.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio paid a courtesy call on President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at Malacanang and discussed issues in the West Philippine Sea and the ongoing aggressive action of China. Rubio assured the Philippines of relentless support from the U.S. when it comes to defense and economy.
There really are a great many issues that have to be dealt with, and I'm glad that you have had this opportunity to at least engage and have some exchanges.
We're glad to be with you here today and to reaffirm that relationship and our commitment to the U.S.-Philippines relationship.
The PCG and the Armed Forces of the Philippines are fiercely rejecting Beijing's claim that it allowed the medical evacuation of 2 injured Philippine Navy personnel, stressing that the Philippines will never seek permission from China to conduct medical evacuations within its own territory, and that Beijing's narrative is nothing but a pure propaganda.
This is an act of barbarism. This is an act of a pirate. This is very uncalled for. What they're doing is harming people and also jeopardizing the safety of our personnel as well.
The AFP backed the Coast Guard, maintaining that the Philippines does not need approval of any foreign nation to move within its exclusive economic zone. Despite the interference, the 2 injured Navy personnel were safely transported by PCG vessel to Ulugan Bay in Palawan. Victor Liantino, IBC News.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to hold the first-ever Bangsamoro parliamentary elections on September 14. The president also announced billions of pesos in assistance and development programs to communities across Bangsamoro regions during his visit in Maguindanao del Norte. Let's hear the full report from IBC correspondent Harley Valbuena.
We will push through with the second Monday of September of the coming September, and to finally achieve our dream, our goal of being able to say that we have a duly elected parliament in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao.
This is the assurance of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. regarding the first BARM parliamentary elections, which will be held on September 14, 2026. During the BARM Convergence Program at the Philippine Army Headquarters in Datu Odin Sinswat, Maguindanao del Norte, the President acknowledged that there is still much to be done before peace, stability, and prosperity are fully achieved in BARM. This is why he approved the amendments to the Bangsamoro Organic Law, which also paved the way for the resetting of the BARM elections to the second Monday of September.
These provide the necessary legal and administrative adjustments to ensure an orderly, credible, and inclusive electoral process.
The Chief Executive also committed to continuing to preserve the religious and cultural traditions of the Muslim community, along with the implementation of the Iftar program. The Bawat Bayan Makikinabang program was also launched in Maguindanao del Norte, where a total of 3.4 billion pesos worth of assistance and service was provided. This includes 433 million pesos in financial assistance for the priority local development projects of LGUs in BARM under the Social Civic Projects Fund. Educational assistance was also given to presidential scholars. According to President Marcos Jr., from April to July this year, almost 7 billion pesos worth of assistance had already been distributed to 34,800 barangays under the BBM program. Harley Valbuena, IBC News.
The government is now in the final stage of preparation for the 5th State of the Nation address, or President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on July 27. Authorities, including the Executive Secretary Ralph Recto, MMDA, and PNP, have also strengthened the security, cyber monitoring, and traffic management to ensure the safety of the annual event. IBC News correspondent Bea Peniza has more.
Executive Secretary Ralph Recto led a top-level meeting as a part of the government's final preparations for the 5th State of the Nation address of President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on July 27th. Recto directed the Philippine National Police and the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority to further strengthen security coordination and ensure quick response measures for any incidents that may disrupt public safety or affect commuters. He assured that law enforcement operations will remain balanced with respect for the constitutional rights of citizens to peacefully express their views. Meanwhile, all units of the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group have been activated for heightened cyberspace monitoring ahead of SONA. This is to prevent the spread of misleading information and fake news.
To protect the public na hindi sila maalarma ng mga fake news o mga maling pinabahaging impormasyon sa online. So we need to assure that the public is really confident na safe ang holding ng SONA ng ating presidente.
The National Capital Region Police Office security measures are also in place. A full alert status across Metro Manila is scheduled to take effect on July 23rd. A no-fly zone and no-drone zone in designated areas will also be implemented, while permits to carry firearms outside residents will be suspended on July 27th. Meanwhile, the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority has released a traffic rerouting plan for motorists on the day of the SONA. Drivers are advised to follow the recommended alternative routes to avoid expected traffic congestion, particularly along Commonwealth Avenue, IBP Road, and other major thoroughfares surrounding the House of Representatives. Bea Peniza, IBC News.
The impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte continued, with the NBI narrowing its list of persons of interest in the alleged hired assassin case. And to help us break down today's key developments, we are joined tonight by lawyer and former House prosecutor in the Chief Justice Renato Corona impeachment trial, Attorney Gigi Agabao. Yes, good evening, Attorney. Thank you once again for giving us your time this evening. Yes, Attorney, good evening. NBI Director Melvin Matibag revealed today that investigators have narrowed their list to fewer than 20 persons of interest linked to the alleged hired assassin and hope to identify the suspect within 3 to 6 months. From a legal standpoint, sir, how significant is this development to the impeachment case, considering the investigation is still ongoing? Okay, we will be getting back to Attorney Gigi Agabao very soon.
The low-pressure area inside the Philippine Area of Responsibility still has a high chance of becoming a tropical depression. According to Pag-asa, the LPA was last spotted 94 kilometers east of southeastern Luzon, and it is expected to become a tropical depression within 24 hours and will be named Quiapo. It will move northwest or heading towards northern Luzon this Friday until Saturday. For now, until tomorrow, the trough of LPA will bring cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms over the Bicol region, eastern Visayas, and Romblon. Meanwhile, the southwest monsoon still prevails over Mindanao, western Visayas, Negros Island region, central Visayas, and Palawan, bringing cloudy skies with scattered rains. Here in Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon, expect partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers or thunderstorms due to localized thunderstorms. Coming up next, amid growing public debate, Dole expresses support for the Pax Silica development. Stay tuned. This is 13 News.
Flavors worth craving. Stories made to inspire. Restaurant every Friday at 4 p.m. on IBC 13.
Welcome back once again. The impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte continued with the NBI narrowing its list of persons of interest in the alleged hired assassin case. And once again, to help us break down today's key developments, we are joined tonight by lawyer and former House prosecutor in the Chief Justice Renato Corona impeachment trial, Attorney Gigi Agapao. Attorney, good evening. Thank you once again for joining us this evening.
Good evening, William, and good evening to everyone.
Okay, Attorney, NBI Director Melvin Matibag revealed today that investigators have narrowed their list to fewer than 20 persons of interest linked to the alleged hired assassin and hope to identify the suspect within 3 to 6 months. From a legal standpoint, how significant is this development to the impeachment case, considering that the investigation is still ongoing, sir?
Well, as far as the national security angle is concerned, I think that's important. I think that the NBI has to go into the bottom of these things and try to find out if there are really elements that have been in touch, that if there have been people that the Vice President have been in touch related to the threat, to kill the President. But from the viewpoint of the impeachment, I think that's not essential. The one piece of evidence that have been proven over the 9 days that the prosecution have presented their evidence is the fact that there have been a threat made, and that threat has been authenticated and has not been refuted. Now, whether there was in fact an assassin is beside the point. I think the elements of grave threat have been sufficiently established. And this grave threat underpins the charge of betrayal of public trust. By and large, I think they have sufficiently established their case.
Okay, and with the impeachment trial set to resume on July 29 and shift its focus to the alleged misuse of confidential funds, how could this next phase change the direction of the trial, and what key legal issues should the public watch out for?
Well, I think this would be a completely different tenor. The pieces of evidence that will be presented would not be testimonial, unlike in Article 4, where the investigations made by the NBI consisted largely of the testimonies of the NBI, Kalilung, and Attorney Lotok. The evidence that we would be hoping to see in Article 1 would be purely documentary. Of course, people will be testifying in those documents, but it will be these documents, the bank statements largely, that will do the talking, so to speak. So yes, this will be a completely different picture, and I hope it becomes interesting because most of the testimonies, I imagine, would be on figures and amounts.
Okay, thank you again very much, Attorney Agapao, for your time this evening.
Thank you, William. Thank you for having me. Thanks.
The Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, fully supports the U.S.-led Pac Silica initiative, which has huge potential to provide jobs to Filipinos. According to DOLE Secretary Francis Tolentino, the 1,600-hectare economic security zone in New Clark City will focus on technology, microchips manufacturing, and AI infrastructure. The project targets to create 1 million jobs for the Gen Z and younger workers. Tolentino added that under the Pac Silica initiative, the Luzon Economic Corridor will be established, which is expected to be more progressive than existing export processing zones in the country.
Pac Silica is envisioned to really not jumpstart, but to create a better economic growth area similar to what Taiwan is experiencing right now.
The Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, has defended the 85 peso daily wage increase in the National Capital Region, or NCR, saying the approval was based on extensive economic consultations. DOLE Secretary Francis Tolentino said the wage hike is expected to benefit over 1 million workers in NCR, while around 12,000 jobs could be affected. He clarified that the NCR wage increase does not automatically apply to other regions, as regional wage boards set rates based on local economic conditions. Tolentino added that micro, small, and medium enterprises are expected to be the most affected, encouraging them to organize so their concerns can be better represented in future wage deliberations. To ease the impact on businesses, Dole said eligible establishments have 75 days to apply for exemption from the wage order while implementing their proper assistance.
Ang Dole po ay pwedeng magbigay ng mga kagamitan nila, pondohan yung kagamitan nila para yung panggamit nila ng capitalization ay magamit sa pagbigay noong wage adjustments.
During the post-ministerial conference for the 59th ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting, the United States provided an update on the U.S.-Iran situation. The remarks came after ASEAN ministers issued a joint statement urging Iran and U.S. to de-escalate tensions and work towards restoring the ceasefire. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Iran's attempts to control passage through the Strait of Hormuz are inconsistent with the principle of freedom of navigation.
In the Middle East, where a nation state can decide that they are going to control an international waterway, charge a toll, and if you don't pay them, blow up your ships, we have created a very dangerous precedent, which will repeat itself in other parts of the world.
Ahead of President Marcos Jr.'s 5th State of the Nation address, the impact of reforms in the education sector is already being felt. The president ensured the welfare of millions of students through feeding programs, distribution of iPads and laptops, as well as the awarding of cash grants to presidential scholars in almost 3,000 barangays. IBC correspondent Ezra Abad has the details of the president's accomplishments.
This year, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. led Brigada Eskwela, inspiring students through storytelling sessions like the one in the Kapitbahayan Elementary School in Navotas City. To ensure no student will be left behind the digital age, the president ordered the expansion of internet access, as well as the distribution of tablets and laptops to several schools.
Ang buong budget ng DepEd na napapakinabangan ho ng lahat ng stakeholders mula Batanes hanggang Tawi-Tawi.
The president also launched the program Bawat Bayan Makikinabang that granted educational assistance to over 2,000 students or presidential scholars nationwide.
Malaking opportunity po ito para sa akin, lalo na po sa pag-aaral. Di lang po sa pamilya ko.
The efforts also boosted the school-based feeding program at elementary schools nationwide to ensure that over 4.6 million students in the country are healthy. The government not only addresses the welfare of the students, but it supports teachers' welfare as well through the expanded career progression system where 80,000 teachers were promoted.
Kami na hindi umangat sa aming posisyon ay nakaroon ng tsansa na mayangangat ko ang aming posisyon sa mataas na antas.
From elementary to high school, lasting positive change has also reached the higher education sector. A new College of Law building was built in Western Visayas State University. The government has also resolved the long-standing problem of classrooms shortage. A new 4-story building in San Francisco High School in Quezon City, which was completed within 8 months after the original building burned down.
Basta pumasok sa proyekto ng tama, ay ganito ang ating nagagawa. Patuloy natin gagawin yan at patuloy natin titiyakin na ang pondo ng pamahalaan ay napupunta sa mga proyektong kagaya nito.
From classrooms to sports facilities, tangible change in the education sector are felt even before the President's 5th State of the Nation address. Ezra Abad, IBC News.
The Gilas Pilipinas 3x3 men capped off a remarkable campaign by securing a spot in the 2026 FIBA 3x3 Under-23 World Cup. The Philippines clinched its qualification after defeating Japan, New Zealand, Belarus, Singapore, and Malaysia to finish with 520 points in the tournament held in Malaysia. The national team now sets its sights on competing against the world's best from September 15 to 19 in Wuhan, China. Two young Filipino sport climbers set new Philippine speed climbing records at the World Climbing Youth Championships in Arco, Italy. Joaquin Torres clocked 5.97 seconds in the men's under-19 division, breaking the previous national record of 6 seconds. Meanwhile, Praj de la Cruz posted times of 8.9 seconds and 9.1 seconds, surpassing her previous national record and personal best set at the Southeast Asian Games in Thailand last December. The Philippines will continue its campaign as the championships will run until July 25.
Teams of IT developers emerged as finalists in the Department of Information and Communication Technology's eGov Hackathon. The finalists were recognized for their digital solutions designed to enhance the eGov Super App and improve the delivery of government services. Among the finalists are Gabay Med and eAgas, which aim to create a unified healthcare system that connects the eGov app with clinics and hospitals across the country. Meanwhile, Isalba is an SOS reporting system designed to help rescue teams locate victims even in areas with no signal during disasters. Lastly, eGuide is a unified government platform that provides real-time updates on MRT and LRT operations, as well as EDSA busway services. The United States continues its strikes against Iran as it seeks to further degrade the country's military capabilities. Meanwhile, the U.S. Embassy announced Philippine Airlines' multi-billion-dollar Boeing purchase, the airline's first Boeing order in nearly 2 decades. Let's have more of these international developments from CJ Reyes.
The United States military continued its strikes against Iran for the 11th consecutive night. The U.S. also continues to reinforce its naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, with forces having redirected 8 commercial vessels and disabled 1. So far, the war with Iran has cost the U.S. an estimated $37.5 billion. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that the U.S. remains open to negotiations as long as commitments are honored. Meanwhile, the U.S. Embassy welcomed Philippine Airlines' estimated $3.4 billion deal to purchase up to 20 Boeing 787s. The purchase marks a new chapter for the airline as its last Boeing order was placed back in 2007. The new aircraft will be powered by advanced high-bypass turbofan jet engines. In other news, OpenAI said 2 of its artificial intelligence models breached their testing environment and gained unauthorized access to an AI-powered platform without human instruction. OpenAI is now conducting a joint investigation with AI-powered startup Hugging Face into what it described as an unprecedented cyber incident. CJ Reyes, IBC News.
Before we wrap up tonight's newscast, we bring you the results of the PCSO's 9 p.m. lottery draws. For the Mega Lotto 645, the winning numbers are 8, 14, 39, 29, 1, and 13, with a jackpot price of 17,800,795 pesos and 73 centavos. For the Grand Lotto 655, the winning combination is 15, 24, 36, 10, 48, and 55, with a jackpot price of 89,205,403 pesos and 23 centavos. For the 4D Lotto, the winning combination in exact order is 0, 4, 8, and 4. And for the 3D Lotto, the winning numbers are 1, 2, and 3. And for the 2D Lotto draw, the winning numbers are 8 and 12. There are no winners for the Mega Lotto 645 and Grand Lotto 655. Tomorrow, the Department of Transportation will continue to provide free rides amid Manibela's transport strike. The agency has deployed vehicles to cover round-trip routes, including Welcome Rotonda to Fairview, Recto to Cubao, Quiapo to Cubao, Quiapo to Fairview, Calentong to Pasig Palenque, and Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange to Lawton. Free rides are available during peak commuting hours, specifically from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. and from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
By the way, William, the Unified 911 hotline has just been launched tonight at the Mall of Asia Globe Grounds in Pasay City. The newly launched and activated Unified 911 hotline is expected to be fully available to receive emergency calls. The service allows the public to call for report of emergencies such as fires, road accidents, medical emergencies, and other incidents requiring immediate response. Authorities are encouraging the public to use the hotline responsibly and only for genuine emergencies.
Yes, Angela, this is one of the best news that I've heard so far because honestly, you don't know when an emergency will strike. So I think it gives people peace of mind that there's somebody to call.
And yes, and it's very easy to remember.
Yes. And those were the latest from the IBC Newsroom this evening.
We'll continue to monitor the stories that matter and give you updates as they develop. I'm Angela C.
And I'm William Thio. This is 30 News. Thank you for watching, everyone.